Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I shall discuss on role of cooperative movement in rural development. So, before entering into the subject, let us know the details about cooperative. A cooperative is a form of organization that is widely prevalent in developing countries, including India. It has great potential as an instrument of rural development. Cooperation as an ethical norm has been eulogized all over the world since time immemorial. As a mode of social behavior, it is manifest in countless activities of people performed for the purpose of achieving a common goal. From philosophical perspective, cooperation and its opposite, competition, are two basic tendencies of human behavior, and both coexist in every individual. Therefore, cooperation can emerge under highly diverse situations, and accordingly there are several theories or propositions that seek to explain why people do and do not cooperate. Therefore, the origin of formal cooperation in the form of a cooperative organization is traced to Europe, particularly England, France, and Germany. In the mid-19th century, Robert Owen of England, Charles Fourier of France, they considered as the founding fathers of the modern cooperation. And when it comes to India, we know that Mr. Varghese Kurian, the founder of Amul. Amul is also a well-known and well-established cooperative organization. So he is the founder of cooperative movement of India. So let us now discuss on the role of cooperative movement in rural development. In the work of privatization and deregularization that characterize India's NEP, and in view of opening up of India's markets to competition from foreign firms under the new World Trade regime ushered in by the World Trade Organization, WTO, cooperatives will no longer have the protection, support, and patronage of government. They will have to defend for themselves and compete with private firms, both Indian and foreign, for their survival and growth. It is only cooperatives that can protect the poor producer and poor consumer from the adverse effect of free world trade and serve as the safety net for them. The economic reforms have so far bypassed the rural sector. It is only the industrial sector and banking sector that have been liberated from the shackles of unnecessary government rules and regulations or controls. The rural sector still continues to be shifted by several restrictions such as ban of interstate movement of food grains, fixation by the government authorities of consumer price of milk sold by cooperatives, dairies in cities, restrictions on adoption of modern technologies by sugar factories, and ban on export of good, that is jaggery, from producing states to consuming states within the country for months during the good manufacturing season. With nearly 1/3 of India's rural population living below the poverty line, and with most of the rural producers being small-scale unorganized sectors having virtually no bargaining power, it is unlikely that the free market model of development will help them. Most of the rural people are simply outside the domain of markets, So how can the new policy of open and competitive markets help them? Let us cite an example. Freedom of entry in dairy industry by both Indian and foreign firms is neither economically sound nor socially desirable. Economically, it is important to invest scary capital in dairy plants and machinery when the capacity already created, the cooperative sector, is underutilized. In the short run, the quantity of milk supplied to new dairies established in the milk shed of cooperative dairy comes out of the total quantity that is supplied to the cooperative dairy and thus represents a transfer and not any addition to the quantity of milk that is already produced and processed. Hence, no contribution of private dairies to dairy development. With the total quantum of milk processed by both cooperative and private dairies remaining almost unchanged, any increase in investment in milk processing plants by private dairies would lead inefficiency in the use of capital from society's point of view. So thus, there is a free of all policy in these matters will certainly result in over capitalization of the dairy industry, and both the cooperative dairies and the private dairies will suffer from higher fixed costs and lower margins, and neither producers nor consumers will be benefited from the policy in the long run. So many dairy rich developed countries in Western Europe such as France, Denmark, Sweden and Netherlands have realized the futility of unfettered competition in the dairy processing and consequently have decided to enlarge the scale of processing operations through margins had acquisition so as to control major segment of processing industry. It would be an unwise decision of the Indian government to pursue a free-for-all policy in such a situation. On this contrary, it is quite likely that if the cooperatives' desires become financially non-viable and have to close down, private dairies would exploit both the producer and consumer as they used to do before cooperativization. The surplus generated from the business would siphoned out of the rural sector and or India rather than plugged back for dairy or rural development as is done by dairy cooperatives. Furthermore, distribution of surplus generated from processing and marketing of milk would be less uniform or more skewed when private dairies do this function. So, all in all, there is enough evidence that ethical, ideological, social, political and economic basis of cooperatives will enable them the rural development not only to survive but also successfully compete with the other forms of organization in the new era.